Hey, scrapbook friends, it's Nicole, and I'm so excited to be coming to you today with another album flip through. I just finished this album at my crop this weekend, and you're the first to see it. So I know, especially Kelly Creates, if you're out there, you often ask me for more album flip throughs, and this one's for you. I appreciate that you guys like these, and I sure enjoy getting to show them off to you. So if you saw my flip through of my 2020 volume 1, I had a light pink album cover with like little cameras all over the front. And I had 3 of those. I saved them from a promo several years ago, and I thought, oh, that'll be great. I'll do one for, the first half of the year. Our vacation was like 10 days in the middle of July, and then I'll have one for our vacation and one for the second half of the year. Well, then my vacation ended up taking 2 albums. So this was during 2020. So you'll be impressed that I managed to have a vacation, I think. But you'll see that like 90% of this book is pictures of my nieces and nephews in the pool. And so then Creative Memories came out, I think this past summer, with this Flamingo album. Might have been last summer. All the months and years blur together. But it's the same kind of pale pink, but it has the flamingo. So when I put it on my shelf, they're all going to look the same, but then when you pull out the front of the vacation ones, it's going to have a different design on the front. So this was a promo, and I thought it was perfect for my trip to Florida. So thank you, Creative Memories, for giving me exactly the album I needed right when I needed it. If you saw the previous album flip through, or you saw my tutorial video from a few weeks ago, I talked about how to do this kind of triple ring wreath using the circle cutter. And I'm using the same basic concept for my album, or my title pages, through all of my albums for 2020. I love to do that. I like to come up with an idea and modify it, make it kind of the same concept, but use different papers and modify it just a little bit. I feel like it ties my albums together, and it means I don't have to come up with another idea for a title page. So I just used the exact same 2020 and volume 1 that I used for my 2020 volume 1, but I added the summer vacation. And this font, I cut this on my Cricut Joy. This font is called Don Juan. If you have the old Cricut with the cartridges, that's where I got this font, and I can still cut it now because it was saved to my Cricut account. The paper pack that I used for this, and you're going to see a lot of it in this book, was called Bright Delights. It was the paper from the Secret Box 2 in 2024. And thankfully, I was able to get a sneak peek of this secret box when I was on the Creative Memories incentive trip to Puerto Vallarta in April of 2024. So when it was released for sale, I knew that I loved it. And one of the things I don't love about the secret boxes is that if I love the paper, I can't get any more of it. So I bought multiple boxes of that secret box, and then I was able to get my hands on a few other additional paper packs and some of the stickers, and let's just say I've added them to my stash, and I have been kind of hoarding them, but they work great for this summer vacation album. The stickers that came in this secret box are foam stickers. They're kind of raised. You can kind of see in the book that there's a couple places where I used them, but they're thicker. They're like that foam, that craft foam thickness. They're thicker than, they're firmer than that craft foam. They're not flexible, but it's a firm foam. But I don't always know how I feel about raised, lumpy, bumpy embellishments. But I think on a title page where it's just going to be against the front cover, and I'll probably write something. I just haven't. I don't always write something, but then I see this blank thing and I kind of feel like I need it. So I'll probably write something. But I think that these foam things, when they're going to be just up against the inside of my album cover, I know they're not going to press against anything or cause any indentations, so it's easier for me to use them there. All right, so we live in North Alabama, and my daughter, Michelle, went to Auburn for her undergraduate, and, well, she is a graduate now of Auburn University, and this 2020 was during her what was her sophomore year of college. She came home for spring break and then stayed for 6 months or whatever. But there was this restaurant called the Irritable Bow in Auburn that we loved. And every time we went to visit her, we would eat there. And so as we were driving through, we stopped there for lunch because we really like it. And they didn't have anything like that up here in Huntsville. So all I had was a picture of their, I think I screenshot this from their Instagram, a picture of the restaurant, us in front of the restaurant, and then a picture that they took of us and posted it to their Instagram. I only had the 4 pictures, but I needed it to be a double page spread. And so I spread it out, and I actually really love how this layout turned out. I did post this in my Nicole Scrapbook Friends Facebook group several months ago when I finished it, so you maybe have already seen it. But I used the Heartfelt Noteworthy Days, which was also, I think, a promo collection this summer. Wish they'd put it for real sale because I love the purples and the teals that are in this one. But I basically just did these kind of banners. So I was able to use pretty much all the papers. I just kind of cut a banner and left different varying widths. And so then here I had places to journal. And then I took the Kite Build-A-Punch and made this border. I really like the Kite Build-A-Punch. When it first came out, I thought, oh, that's really fun. But I have struggled to use it because I don't have a lot of kite pictures. And it's very obviously a kite. So I punched it out of all these different papers, that I used here. And then I cut it in half. So sometimes I use I alternated. Sometimes I use the long, like the bottom part of the kite, and then I would alternate and use the top. And I couldn't just cut it in half and use both pieces because I wanted to keep this middle piece. And I just did it like in an L on this side and an L on this side. I thought about going all the way around and making it a border, and I probably could have. But then, this paper is this paper, and it would be hard to overlap it. So I thought it gave it a little bit more visual interest to just do a partial border. But I really love how this page turned out, and I love the pun. You guys know how I feel about titles, and I like this one. So we did, in fact, take several bao with us and ate them in the car. And so it was a good lunch stop on our way to Florida. And then a few hours later, lo and behold, here we are in Florida. We love to stop at the Florida Welcome Center. Usually we stop and get, they have free orange juice or grapefruit juice. But I said that the Welcome Center was closed, so darn no free orange juice. But thankfully the rest stop part was open. They have this Florida Welcome to Florida sign. You've probably seen it in my Theme Park Thursday books. But they have one on the freeway, and there's a big sign that says no stopping. There's a photo, something at the rest stop. And this is the first time I've actually seen someone that stopped and took a picture by the sign. And then how dumb did they feel when they saw that there's one that you can stop at without like getting risk of being hit by a car. This paper pack is called Sun Soaked. This particular paper with the parrots, I feel like is pretty difficult to use. It's very busy and a little obnoxious, but I feel like by cutting it on the diagonal and covering it with a lot of photos, it toned it down a little bit, and it certainly fits Florida very well. For the title, I used the Creative Memories die cut ABCs. I bought the white ones, and then I colored them with one of our jewel tip pens. Might have actually been a dot pen, which you guys have seen me do that too. And I love the flexibility of being able to pick a color that's going to match my layout. I could have done it in white or khaki, but I love this kind of beigey orangish color. And then to get the punched border, this is with the Monstera Leaves border punch, and I folded another piece of this designer paper diagonally, and then I punched through 2 layers to get that long angle cut. The only way you can get that long cut. I could have just punched straight ones and then hidden them behind pictures, but I didn't know how my pictures were going to be. I think that's what I did with the beaded ovals. I just punched straight strips and then just kind of made it fit. And then I used a few extra leaves around this circle of Michelle, because this picture is me taking this picture, which I thought was pretty fun. So my best friend had moved to Jacksonville in 2019, and I'd visited her several times, but my family had not visited with her. So I said that did I say it somewhere back here? I think back here I said we were so tired of being trapped in our house because of COVID-19, so we made a bubble by being extra careful for 2 weeks and then headed down to Jacksonville to visit our friends. And then I talk about Heather being my best friend since we moved to Madison in 2010, and then her husband got a promotion and they left me. It was very sad. But they had a beautiful house on the river with a pool, and it was basically a very nice vacation spot to go. It was obviously a good promotion for him. This layout uses, again, sun-soaked, and it's based on or inspired by a layout that Tessa Chappell did in Megan and Tessa's the one they did, Power Hour. Their Power Hour, probably maybe in September or October. The one Tessa did had 3 big squares with the diagonal, and I needed to make them smaller, but other than that, I completely copied it from Tessa. So thanks, Tessa, for that inspiration on that. We got there, we went down for the 4th of July, and we got there on the 3rd of July. Maybe we got there on the 2nd. I don't remember when we got there. But that was the night that Hamilton debuted on Disney Plus. I'm a big Hamilton fan, and was so excited when I heard that they were going to be making they were going to be filming the Broadway musical, and it was supposed to be released in theaters, but then COVID happened, so they released it on Disney Plus. But they posted these little tickets for the viewing party, and there was memes, and you guys know I loved the memes during 2020. I almost said 2010. What year am I living in? And so, you know, her husband brought the big TV out to the living room so we could all have comfy seats and watch Hamilton. This layout is copied from Melissa Ullman, one of her YouTube videos recently. She did this layout that had the little rectangles with the rounded corners, and I thought it looked really cool, and I used Legacy of Love, and I think it was perfect for kind of Hamilton. This meme doesn't quite match. It's the wrong color, and I probably maybe should have used some red in here to tie it all together, but I think this makes a great title if you're familiar at all with the music from Hamilton the musical. My sister lived in Orlando, and so they also made a bubble and came up so we could spend the 4th of July together, brought her kids. They needed a vacation too. They needed some pool time because, you know, of course, all the public pools were closed, and they live in Florida. So it was super fun for us to get to see them. I believe this was, I can't remember Fun in the Sun, maybe? I can't remember the name of it. I'm so sorry. But you're going to see a lot of this one and a lot of the Bright Delights as we go through these next few layouts. And we're going to have to figure out how many pool layouts are too many. So this is I just kind of did a collage page, and I didn't really journal each person's name under every photo because this whole album is the people. And I think by the time you look through it, you're going to know who is who. And maybe I need to go back and change that, but I haven't. So I talked about how our friends had a pool at their house in Alabama, and they knew they needed one in Florida. And thankfully, they were good sports about letting us invite ourselves, and this time invite the cousins too. So this is more of that, gosh, was it called Fun in the Sun? Maybe it was called Summer Fun. I don't remember what it was called. But, you know, I have lots of summer papers, and this is a super easy layout. It's just the background paper and then a strip across the middle, and then I just positioned the pictures. I did put some little wavy borders and a few of the little pool stickers. And this is one where I did the technique of just cutting a frame with 1/4-inch strips and putting it around, and I love the way it turned out. But I love these kind of close-up pictures of most of the kids. This is the same collection. I think this was a virtual crop sketch. I feel like several of these actually were virtual crop sketches. But had the kind of the layers of wave paper cut with the decorative trimmer. And then I cut this out of one of the mats. I think I used the custom cutting system Diamond, and it fit exactly over the artwork on that design. So this was absolutely inspired by somebody else, and I think it was a virtual crop sketch. This one, I have all these pictures of my nephew getting tossed in the air. I said kids love being tossed by their dads, and when it's in the pool, moms have an easier time allowing it. I always, you know, I don't love this whole concept of dads tossing their kids because I freak out. But if they're in the water and they're just going to land in the pool and they got their floaties on, and he obviously loved it so much. The kids were just kind of at peak cuteness, this summer. You know, now they're like 9, but so obviously back here they were what, 4, and just having a grand old time in this age. And then I had these border stickers that were part of the Totally Tonal, I think. And I think all of these were papers from Totally Tonal, not the one that matched with the papers, but like the blues and greens or whatever. But my goal is often to try and use up the papers I have, and I didn't want all of these layouts to be exactly the same papers. So little Cassie had her bucket of toys. I said Cassie loves to travel with her bag of toys, and her ponies got to be in the pool with her. It was just so cute. She's just so cute. How could I not scrapbook all of these? So this is, this looks like this is Enchanted Princess. Oh, I used the little carousel horses that work great with her ponies. And then the hot pink from Bright Delights, and the wave, it's called something else. Ocean Waves, maybe, border punch. But it's pretty simple. I did round the corners of these before I put it on a border. But I love the bright color. It doesn't have a title, but it's all of this is kind of kids in the pool, so it didn't need a title. More of this pink. I think I used up most of the hot pink that I have, which is sad because I do really love this bright pink. And, you know, when it's gone, it's gone. They don't have any more of it. And then this was the ice cream paper, again, from Bright Delights. I did a little decorative swirling around the edge, which I like, and I cut the ice cream border with the popsicles because we were eating, you know, popsicles in the pool. How many pictures is too many to take of kids eating popsicles? I don't know. So here we've got, oh, my things are not sticking down. Here we've got, again, Bright Delights, very simple layout. I just kind of left an imaginary line across, well, not imaginary, but I left a 1-inch gap, and I kind of either put the pictures up or down from it, and then I put the border across the middle. I think it's very effective. It left me a little space to journal. And apparently I said, how many photos are too many to take of people having fun in the pool? So I've had that question before of, you know, how many layouts do we need to have of kids in the pool? But which pictures should I leave out? Here's some more. This one I didn't do any journaling because what is there to say? Here we are in the pool. And I even did a peekaboo because I just wanted to put all the pictures in. They make me happy. Like this picture of my sister, she's so beautiful. And Michelle's red, white, and bay swimsuit. I don't even know what that means, but I just had fun. My husband smiling at my nephew. I had to do it. I had to put all the pictures in. And when I do these peekaboo pockets, I like to stick them down to the page. So the adhesive is stuck to the background page, and then I put my wallpapered page over the top. You know, I do use the regular traditional Creative Memories pages. I don't like the top loading as well. I don't like the way they feel when I turn them. I miss the jeeped edge. So I use the regular pages, and so I stuck this to the page, and then I put my wallpapered page. And you can see I used the same kind of border so that it would just be seamless in here. And I will, of course, put page protectors on this. I just left them off so we wouldn't have to deal with any glare while I was filming the video. This one I'm liking. They had this little basketball thing, and the kids were just playing it and having a fun time. So I just did nothing but net. Again, these are the sans serif letters. I colored them with one of our CM pens to have my words be blue. This is the fishnet border, and then I did also that 1/4 inch kind of mat around it. Super simple. I rounded the corners. I don't do that a lot, but I felt like this kind of rounded edge meant that I needed to round the corners. I love this picture of Juan, my nephew, who was living with us. It's just such a great shot of him, like this action shot. But I did kind of the progression of him, you know, doing a big old jump shot into the pool, a slam dunk. And this is all with Totally Tonal. And, you know, nothing to journal really, because what am I going to say? We're playing in the pool. Then sadly the rain rolled in and ended our pool time, at least for a little while. I think this was maybe a virtual crop sketch too, but I love how the raindrops work. This was from, I think it was Snowbound was our collection, which is a winter collection, but it had a page, a couple of the pages had rain instead of snow, which is great because I live in Alabama and we get lots of rain. in the winter and not in the winter. And so I was able to use the rainy side instead of the snow side. This is maybe a snow side. And then a couple years ago for Black Friday, one of the bundles was candle flames. And so I used all the flame punch to punch the raindrops. And I love it. I freehand cut this one big one that I could use for a journal box. But look how sad the kid's looking outside to see if the rain had stopped. And then just pictures of rain on the pool and the clouds over the river. This one is with the indoor play paper from the Growing Up collection. It had this board game paper, but the board game went all the way around. It was one square, but I needed to do a double page layout. So I didn't want to have the square. So I used 2 pieces of it, and then I covered up right here so it doesn't like close off in the middle. It makes the illusion of one big square. And then I was able to use like the game pieces paper that was in there, and some of this border is cut from that paper. So all of this was from, I think, from Indoor Play, which is part of the Growing Up collection. I think it's still available as a bundle with the paper and the embellishments. My little nephew, kids love my husband. And so that's why I said kids are always drawn to Princeton, even when they are too little to remember him. And so he and my nephew Colton, who was, I think, 2 at the time, I got all these cute pictures of them together, and I couldn't decide which one to put in, so I put them all in. This one I used the staycation paper. I did use that several times also in this layout in this album, because I had a bunch of it. It was kind of released in 2020, the whole stay home, stay safe, but I'm tired of it and I want to get it all used up so I can use that folder for something else. So I did use staycation for that. This layout, this is actually one of the last layouts I finished in this book, simply because I love this picture of me with Cassie, so cute. And I had an empty spot. I had a single page because I've been working out of order. I just needed a single page. So this is using the Bright Delights again. And this border is one from Megan Jacks that she did on one of her scrapbook lives, where you use the tag punch, the tab punch, and then the squares. And I love it. I actually had made 2 borders, thinking I was going to do a double page spread. And so I ended up not using both of them. I'll use the other one. I don't know what I'll use it for. But I just love the bright colors. And I love this picture of Cassie and me. And I journaled about how I've been lucky to visit them in Orlando several times. Oh, and I've developed a special bond with the kids. Cassie once famously said she wished Auntie Cool, which was her name for me, Auntie Cool could be her husband. She was very little when she said that. She said, I want a husband. And my sister said, well, who do you want your husband to be? Auntie Cool. So, now sadly, I bet she understands more the concept of a husband and probably doesn't want me for that purpose anymore. This is also with staycation. I said the kids wanted to have a store where we could buy statues, then we could move them around as much as we wanted. And Dax decided that statues always have 2 fingers up. So that was kind of the whole thing. We'll be like, let's play statues. And he'd put his fingers up, and it was just very fun. And this is just pretty random, just some borders, the ancient key, and more of that staycation. I probably had pieces that were already cut, and I thought, how can I just make this work? But I like how it turned out. I'm plenty happy with it. And I think these are the navy die cut letters, although maybe not, because they're colored on the sides. I might have colored them. I love being able to color white letters. This is another one, I think, from Indoor Play, another board game. And again, it was a single page like that went all across, but I needed a double page. So I cut it in half. I think it's at 5 and 7. I cut it down a little bit so I could leave a border. So I think I cut like, a 1/4 of an inch off it and punched it in. And I really like how this layout turned out. I love the way that, kind of the start, and then you kind of see the board. It kind of looks like a Candyland game. And then I was able to cut the borders and use the mats. I'm really, really pleased with how this one turned out, and being able to use a couple of the embellishments that came in that collection. I think I also posted this one to my Nicole Scrapbook Friends group when I finished it. I don't always post every layout that I do. I don't know if that's something you guys want. I've had people ask me before, oh, are you going to do a tutorial, a YouTube video on that layout? And if I do a layout at my studio when I've got customers cropping with me, like, I'm not going to make it again. I'm way too far behind in my own scrapbooking to do the same layout twice, but I can't record it when I'm at a crop because I'm, up and down, and it sometimes takes me 4 or 5 hours to finish a layout because I got to get up and help with food or help somebody with their project. So, but I do try to post if I especially love something or I think it has a interesting technique, I do try to post it in my Facebook group. So this one is also with Staycation, and this is just my little nephew Colty. I just said he had lots of fun exploring this new house, and it just was just a reason to post pictures of him because he's very cute. This, I'm positive, was a virtual crop sketch. It used Coastal Shore. That paper pack sold out really fast and people loved it, and I wish they would bring it back because I love the soft colors on this. But my friend's husband wasn't sure that Allie was going to be safe out on the boat dock, so we went out to supervise her and direct her away from the river, and it was very sweet. It was very sweet. This one, again, I kind of like the puns. I just had, this picture of the pool floats inside the house and stacked up, and then we realized that Colty was hiding in them, which I thought was very funny. So I just wrote, "Do not disturb." These are, again, I colored them in with a marker, and then I drew on them with the white gel pen, and I really like the look of decorating those letters, not just coloring them in. I think it made it very fun. And again, some more of that Bright Delights. This is another one of my final layouts that was just finishing up, and I just said how lucky they are to be able to see this sunset view from their own backyard. We just had these pretty sunset pictures, and this is all on the 4th of July. I don't think I mentioned that anywhere except that we watched Hamilton on the 3rd of July. So like all of these pictures, this is one day. It might have been 2 days. Some of the pool might have been the second day. And then we had this, we went outside on the boat dock to watch the fireworks, but the moon was coming up and it was so pretty. I couldn't help but take a bunch of pictures. I had my real camera and I couldn't help but take a bunch of pictures of the moonrise and then the fireworks that we could just see. So I got a nice picture of the moon up here. I've got a very kind of dark picture of us sitting on the dock. I used the bubble border punch to kind of add a little bit of texture, and then the fireworks punch I think was great. And of course it has a border. And this paper pack was the celebration. It was a advisor exclusive paper pack. I think it was the first quarter of 2025. It was an advisor exclusive, and it was designed for like birthdays and celebrations, but it worked really well for these fireworks because it had the stars and the speckles, and I love it. The sandy shimmer paper. I was hoping that was going to be a permanent shimmer color, but I don't think it's going to be. I think this one is also scrap lifted from somebody, and my brain says it's from Megan. I'm pretty sure that this border idea I copied from her, and then I translated it to be on either side. My husband went out for a run, took some pictures while he was running along the boardwalk along the St. John River, and some of the signs: save the sea turtles, help protect the whales, all that stuff. So again, more of Coastal Shore, which I don't think I have much left. If you follow my Nicole Scrapbook Friends Facebook group, I did post this layout a couple of weeks ago. Again, I just had this one picture and I love it so much. And I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't really want to give it its own page, but it needed it. And so I just kind of pulled out what scraps of Poolside Paradise I had, including the sticker that says Poolside Paradise. The background paper was pre-printed. The border is already on there. I stuck the rectangle page down. I had to trim the picture a little bit to make it fit in these tiles. And then I had this little half circle. It came together really fast. I'm not journaling anything. It's just a really sweet picture. And I love this layout, which is interesting because I don't do a lot of single photo layouts and I don't do a lot of layouts without journaling. But I have nothing to say about this photo. The photo gives the 1,000 words, picture speaks 1,000 words. I can't remember even how that quote goes. This is more Staycation, and again, my husband with Colton, who is just so cute, and they just had so much fun together. And then this was the slide reel border punch. And again, I'm doing a lot where I'm putting a border. This one had kind of a wide border. I don't think I did that for a long time. I didn't put a border, but now that I've started doing it, I really like the way it defines a page. So we'll see if I can, how many layouts I can do from now on that don't have a border. I think this was also maybe a virtual crop sketch. We took a little group photo before my sister and her family left, and a few of the process of getting in the photos and the goofy photos and stuff. And so I just said, it's always great to get together with people we love, but during COVID, it felt extra special. I think this was, oh gosh, I can't remember what it was called. This was another summer collection. I want to say Summer Breeze, but that wasn't it. Anyway, but the lime paper was hard for me to use from that summer paper, but I think it worked out really well. Even though like we're not wearing any green in here, I used the blue, and then the blue kind of tied it together, and I was able to use these 2 pictures of lime paper, which I don't know what I would have ever used for. And again, I think I did color these letters, and then the Shutter Love Border Maker cartridge. I had these pictures of Michelle just by herself after they left playing in the pool. And so I was kind of wanting to make a donut, kind of play on the donut floaties. And so I made the donut. I put, I just was playing around. But then I was like, what do I say about this? So I just wrote, how many floaties can you stack and still keep floating? It probably needs something else. But it was just her, playing with the floaties. And then one of the coolest things about their house on the river is that they could see dolphins. I did not take these pictures, but Heather had a camera with a long range telephoto lens, and she would sometimes sit out on her balcony, and I think it was like her dad's bird watching lens he let her borrow, and she got these great photos. And so I wanted to put them in because that's one of my favorite things about being there was watching for dolphins. And then I'd see a dolphin, but I wouldn't have my phone, and my phone, the picture of the dolphin would be this tiny. So I was thankful for these 2 great pictures that she'd had. And then I was able to use the whale tail punch, which just came out this summer. I punched it with platinum shimmer, and then the river waves. I used a decorative blade to go around my paper. And then I used the dolphins from the dolphin punch. So these are whales, but turns out that a whale tail and a dolphin tail look really, really nice together. I love this. I don't do a lot of borders, but this one really has made me happy, even though apparently when I put my page protector on, I bent this. So hopefully it'll stick down once the page protectors go back on. But I love how this turned out. And I love, it's all square, but then having the circle kind of makes this more of a focal point, and it ties in to the opposite page, even though they're 2 separate things that I'm showing. This one also was a virtual crop sketch one time. It's such a man picture, right? There, he's trimming his palm tree, this giant ladder. That's just a man thing. This was Natural Elegance, maybe. I don't remember the name of this paper pack. It's too old. But it might be Natural Elegance. Maybe I do remember. And then I punched the palm trees. I punched them twice so that I had the palm tree part in green and then the trunk of the palm tree in brown. This one was fun. This is another layout from paper from Poolside Paradise. And when I pulled this out of my stash, I knew I wanted the one with the frame because I had a single picture just of, us in the pool, me and Heather in the pool instead of everybody else in the pool after all the kids left. But when I pulled it out of my folder, I discovered that I had punched these holes out of it. So out of whatever the back was, which was the wave paper. And so it had holes in it. But I really wanted to use it, so I just stuck a piece of white paper behind it and filled in each of the little circles. I did a little bit of pen work, and then I did 2 of my photos in a circle. And like you would think that I had planned this layout. It worked out great, and it was just serendipity, right? That I already had the paper with the things punched out of it, and I made it work. And I love it when I can do that, when I can take something that's already cut up, something that I've already, done something with, like this other poolside, these were already cut up. This is that same paper, and this is the back side of that paper. And if I'd known, I could have cut my circles out of the small paper, but I'm so glad that I punched it out of a whole paper, because I think it really worked out very well. And there weren't a whole lot of the poolside stickers that worked, but these were fine. And then we were, you know, I love Disney, and we had seen some copycat Dole Whip recipes on the internet, decided to try 3 of them to figure out which one tastes the most like the real Disney version. None of them did, but we enjoyed all the testing. So here are my pictures. This is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3. And Heather manning the blender here with her. I think we had to freeze pineapple, and some of them had sweetened condensed milk or whatever, and which, you know, it's not real Dole Whip because real Dole Whip is dairy free. So all those copycat recipes that call for anything milk, they're copycats. And then, of course, you know, another pun title and another super thin border around the layout. This was from, I can't remember. I have tons of this. This was another Advisor exclusive paper pack that I found hard to use. And it's, you know, I had a crop today, so it's a little bit late, and I'm thinking about other things. It'll come back to me. Fruity delights, maybe. Anyway, but they're little pineapples, so it was perfect. And then I just hand cut my little pineapple and used the diamond chain border maker cartridge. And then finally, I didn't really transition very well, did I? From us being at their house, and I maybe need to put something else on here. You know, our last night together, we did this, because the next thing is we went to a cemetery there in Jacksonville where one of my husband's Army friends is buried. And I had been able to go to his funeral, but my husband was deployed to Afghanistan when Larry died. And this was the first time he'd been able to pay his respects to his friend Larry. So I journaled about that. This is the Brave paper pack. I think it was called, no, Called to Serve. It's called Called to Serve. And so it's a little bit of a different somber theme compared to the rest of these pool pages, but something that, you know, was important for us to stop and be able to do for a friend who was a veteran who died far too early. And then finally, the last page, it's us back on the road. I used Hit the Road. I love how this turned out with the frames. I did end up doing a pen line frame, and then another frame, and then another frame inside. And I still was able to get this kind of road paper. And I just had 2 pictures of that. This one my daughter took of us with all of our little trip snacks. You know, there's like a milkshake, some red vine, some McDonald's. And then Heather's freezer makes these cool giant balls of ice, which stayed frozen for hours. I'd taken a picture to send to her. Hey, I still have these giant ice cubes, and, you know, I wanted to put that in. So then I said, after 4 fun days with the Baileys, we headed south to Orlando for a little more time with the Kurds, my sister, and maybe Mickey, ... I put a question mark, but so maybe Mickey. So there is a volume 2 of our summer vacation, and it's almost done too. So hopefully within the next couple weeks, I'll be able to give you volume 2 of our summer vacation in 2020. I'm quite impressed that we were able to have a summer vacation in 2020. I know a lot of people weren't able to do that, but thankful so much for my friend. She does not live in Jacksonville anymore. She doesn't live in that fancy schmancy house, but it was nice while it lasted. And we are very thankful that we were able to go down and have that time during the otherwise horrible COVID year. So thanks for watching. I really love showing off my albums to you, and I appreciate all those of you who watch the album flip throughs, and the fun, the nice comments that you give, and the fun interactions that we get to have. And so if you have any questions about any of these layouts, I'll do my best to answer them. Like some of them that were, you know, virtual crop sketch, I probably have all those virtual crop sketches, and I can direct you exactly to which one. If you need that, just ask me that in the comments. So thanks so much. I'll be back on Thursday, I guess, with Theme Park Thursday, Thanksgiving version. And then hopefully pretty soon with another album flip through of volume 2, and then 2020 volume 2 after we got home from vacation. So thanks a lot, and happy scrapbooking.